All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. We're on the homie Goresh's Twitter. That is because he has the translations for the upcoming EZAs for both LR SSJ Gohan and LR in Cell. Now, Global still hasn't, I'm pretty sure, announced these EZAs. This is probably not because we're not getting them. I mean, a similar situation occurred with EZA transforming Gogeta Blue and also full power SSJ Broly. Like, global Twitter or global Dokkan's Twitter communication is just really poor. For some reason, they just take ages to do things. So it's either come out now already and I haven't seen it, or it'll be between now and tomorrow that they finally actually announce, oh hey, these guys are actually getting EZAs, because the celebration is literally joint. I can't see global not getting the EZAs also. It's probably just the global Dokkan Twitter just being really slow again. But do let me know down in the comments how you are feeling about the information, the details for the upcoming EZAs for the LR Gohan and also the LR in Cell. Also, Collection of Epic Battles is finally getting new stages after like, what, a year and a half? So yeah, finally new content to be made on that, but we're gonna have to wait for that to drop. So let's go through the details for the EZAs. So, pre-transformation. Super Saiyan Gohan, his leader skill is now Kamehameha category Ki +3, HP and attack and defense +180, or Super AGL types Ki +3 and HP and attack and defense +130. For a 180 lead, this is really nice. A lot of the better units in the game do fall under the Kamehameha category. Still a very good category nonetheless. So not a bad alternative if you are missing some 200% leads, or just essentially need it for, you know, some specific missions or ESBR stages, etc. Is a good 180 lead. His passive is attack and defense +150. He gets Ki +2 plus an additional attack and defense +20 at the start of each turn, which then goes up to Ki up to 8 and attack and defense plus up to 80%, which is an extra, what, how many turns? 4 turns. So after 4 turns, he's going to be fully built up, which doesn't really take too long. And by the harder content, you know, such as Red Zone, by the time that 4th turn comes around, you know, if we kind of judge, especially with EZA transforming Gogeta Blue, by the time 4th turn comes around and he transforms, that's usually when you kind of would need him to kind of have the extra stats and things like that, and the extra buffs and boosts. So taking 4 turns to do that's not bad at all. You know, in total he's gonna have attack and defense +230%, which at the start of turn is pretty nice. And the extra Ki +8 on top of the Ki +2, or no, the extra Ki +8 in total, shall I say, very nice, considering he's an LR. You're going to want him to get his 18 Ki off consistently to maximize damage, not to mention also stack as well. He also guards, which guard is activated against all attacks and also has a high chance to launch an additional super attack if HP is 50% or higher at the start of turn, which, to be fair, I know Red Zone you can take a lot of damage, but when you consider the type of units that you're running around EZA LR SSJ Gohan now, you're looking at Birdku, one of the best units in the game, slot 1, has guard, revival, then guaranteed guard, stacks defense, just like Gohan, which that rotation as a slot 1, slot 2 unit is going to be an absolute brick wall for defense, considering Gohan also stacks defense and has guard. So maintaining your HP at 58% or above to constantly have that guard active, probably not too difficult to do. Again, when you consider the units that surround LR Gohan, there may be a few instances where you drop below that, you know, and you may lose the guard, but then he'll be stacking the entire time as well. And then of course you have, you know, have him in slot 2 and the likes of Birdku and other good defensive units that surround him on the team. So for the most part, your HP will probably be above 58% or higher to keep the guard. And also having the 50% chance of launching the additional super attack is great, considering he does stack defense, so he's going to be able to stack even quicker, which also helps in some scenarios where you may be below 58% HP and lose the guard. He also has a high chance, 50% chance to perform a critical hit if there's an android category enemy. Very, very specific, but if there is a specific ESBR stage, of course he's going to be doing big boy damage, especially when he has a coin flip chance of hitting a crit. And probably by this point, considering how old these units are, you're probably going to have dupes where you're going to be hitting extra additionals, stacking up even more, and then also potentially hitting crits on your additional supers as well, doing even more damage. And then also, don't forget, we also have the new Red Ribbon Army Red Zone stage or Red Zone event, where you're purely facing Android category enemies, which he's going to be very good for. The only thing is, he's going to be available probably for what, the last stage, the last two stages, which is going to be very helpful for, but of course not the entire thing, but doing content around it, he's going to be very good for when recording videos. Of course, on 12 key, he does raise defense and cause colossal damage and lowers attack. On the 18 key, of course, also raises defense again and causes mega colossal damage and greatly lowers attack. So pretty good details considering that's pre-transformation. Then we have his details for when he transforms into Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, which we haven't really seen for years. Like, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is literally missing. Now, whether they change his transformation conditions is yet to be confirmed. I don't program games. I don't really have any idea of how it works, so I don't know how easy it is, especially in terms of active skills, because of course that's where it comes from. That's where his transformation stems from, is from an active skill. But Dokkan, please change his active skill conditions so we can actually see the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan transformation. I've already come to terms and come to peace with the fact that I'm probably hardly ever, if ever, going to be seeing this transformation. And I'm okay with that. He can still work pretty well without it, but it would be nice to actually be able to use it. So please, Dokkan. We've had the change the transformation conditions for the percentage, transformations, such as Android 21, EZA SSBE. We've had turn change transformation conditions, for example, more recently, EZA transforming Gogeta Blue. Now, please, I don't know how difficult it is. I have no idea. But if it is possible, please make it so you can alter the conditions for active skill transformations so we can finally see and use Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Now, enough preaching in terms of his actual details. He does change tech key spheres into AGL key spheres for 4 turns in the first appearance, which is okay. Now, I've already seen these details, but I would actually have a problem with this. But it gets better. He now has attack and defense plus 150%. He has attack plus 20% and defense plus 10% per key sphere obtained, which of course the tech key sphere changing into AGL key spheres for 4 turns is going to help that. He then gets an additional key plus 1 per key sphere obtained, which again is going to help. Considering he's an LR, you want to consistently get the 18 key off. He also randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres when facing only one enemy. And this is why I said I don't really mind this because of the remainder of his passive. Because combine this for 4 turns with this, you can get him a decent amount of key spheres to get the extra attack plus 20% and defense plus 10%. So the potential of how much attack and defense Gohan will have by the time, if and potentially you can transform him, especially while he's been stacking the entire time as well, is pretty good. The amount of damage he's going to be doing is fantastic, especially if you can get him enough orbs. And also his defense is going to be in a very good spot, considering again he's going to be stacking the entire time, and if you can get him a decent amount of key spheres. Not only that as well, facing one enemy most of the time in harder content, in like Red Zone and Cell Max event, etc., any future content, a lot of the time you're facing one enemy anyway, so a lot of the time you will be getting off apart from ESBR until you're down to the final enemy. He also launches an additional super attack when facing multiple enemies, so if you're on like a minion stage when it comes to Red Zone, ESBR, which again, never forget about ESBR, constantly being updated, difficulties constantly scaling. When you're facing multiple enemies, he's going to have a guaranteed additional, which is very nice at constantly spreading out the damage, doing good damage, and getting through ESBR fights and any future content that becomes harder content in Dokkan where you're facing multiple enemies a lot quicker. He also still has a high chance, a 50% chance to launch an additional super attack and to perform a critical hit when HP is 50% or below now. So again, with the units surrounding him, maybe a little bit difficult to have 58% or below, but kind of hovering at kind of that mid mark and above in harder content, maybe not too difficult, again, especially if you're using items, potentially support memories as well. But it's now 58% or below, which again, when you consider how good the defensive units, including himself, are and the units are around him, may not be too easy to get that off, but you never know with Red Zone, considering who may be super attacked and when. And the ideal unit doesn't get ends up getting super attack, and then you end up losing a plethora of health. It just kind of depends how your run goes. But combine the fact that he has a built-in additional facing multiple enemies, and then if your HP is 50% or below, you have an extra 50% chance of launching an additional super attack. That's 3 super attacks in one turn when you're facing multiple enemies specifically. And then on top of the fact, you may have dupes in Gohan, which is another additional, which means the possibility of using or launching 4 super attacks in one turn when you're facing multiple enemies. He's going to be able to completely run through the likes of ESBR. Yes, you miss out on 1 super attack when you're facing one enemy if you have dupes. But still, 3 super attacks with Gohan in one turn, especially again when you've been stacking the entire time, and also going to be raising defense on his 12 and 18 key super when he's transformed, or if he's transformed. It's actually really good. Like, really, really good. I'm a big fan of that. If Super Saiyan Goku is attacking in the same turn, he gains an additional attack plus 59% when performing Ultra Super Attack, and if HP is 59% or higher, which again isn't too difficult when you consider how good the units are surrounding him defensively. Not to mention, this is any unit that involves the name Super Saiyan Goku. So Bird Coup being a key one, that rotation's fantastic. Immediately, you've got that condition ticked off. He's going to be doing even more damage where you need him to. You have the likes of the Strength Goku, the Super Saiyan Strength Goku that exchanges, of course, prior to the exchange. There's also Namek-ku, the Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans movie Goku, which of course Global doesn't have yet, but in future will. There's a plethora of Super Saiyan Gokus, but the main one, Bird Coup in slot 1, Gohan in slot 2, going to be very easy to get that extra 59% attack. He also performs an additional super attack after performing an ultra super attack as well. So Gohan is going to be super attacking a plethora of times, which means he's going to be doing a bag full of damage on top of the fact he may crit as well. Again, you've been stacking the entire time, and then on top of that, if they alter the transformation conditions from the active, if you get to see Super Saiyan 2 Gohan appear and you're hitting 18 keys, you're going to greatly raise your attack and defense for one turn, cause mega loss damage to the enemy, and greatly lower their attack and defense. And then all the additionals you could potentially perform, you're going to greatly raise your attack and defense by 50% again for one turn and cause mega loss damage to the enemy as well. But then again, as I said, you would have been stacking the entire time, and then hitting a plethora of potential additionals on top of the initial super attack you do, which means he might raise his defense by 50% like 3-4 times in one turn. On top of the fact he's been stacking. So defensively, Gohan's going to be very, very good for red zone and doing a bag full of damage on top of that. So Gohan is looking very good. Now we have Cell. So pre-transformation, his leader skill is Android / Cell Saga, category key plus 4. And HP and attack and defense plus 180, or extreme int types key plus 3, HP and attack and defense plus 130. Again, a pretty good 180 lead if you need to use it for any specific missions. You're missing 200% leads or ESBR stages. He gets attack and defense plus 120 at the start of turn. He gains an additional defense boost up to 120. The higher the HP, the greater the boost. Still keeps that, kind of expected him to. In terms of maintaining the majority of that, going to be quite difficult in harder content unless a lot more better defensive units come out. Again, the wrong units don't get super attacked. Again, you have healing with a lot of units as well. It kind of just all depends, but for the majority, like in red zone and harder content, you probably won't be getting the full 120. You might get a decent bulk of it, but not the full 120. He gains an additional key plus 2 and attack plus 30% per enemy, so going to be very handy again for ESBR. Attack and defense plus 50% performing a super attack, which is going to help his attack and defense jump up. And again, combined with the fact the more HP remaining, his defense is going to be in a pretty solid spot once he super attacks. He also has a high chance of performing an additional super attack as well, which is literally just a 50% chance of having an additional, which again, getting an extra defensive buff on super attack means defensively pre-transformation, Cell's going to be in a pretty solid spot. Is it going to be, ridiculously good? No, but it's going to be in a very solid spot, and these are his pre-transformation conditions, so I respect them. And then of course transforms when conditions are met. On 12 key, he'll raise defense for one turn and cause colossal damage and greatly lowers defense. This is when the 50% chance of launching an additional super kicks in, because you want that defensive raise, because of course he doesn't have one on his 18 key. And then again, if you have any dupes in Cell, a second 30% defensive raise is going to serve him very well when it comes to harder content like red zone, to make sure he's defensively solid for the turn. And then on 18 key, greatly raise attack for one turn, causes mega colossal damage and lowers attack. And then when Cell transforms, of course, he keeps the fully recovers HP once only, which is still such a great thing to have. It's literally, and I've said it for ages and to this day, it's a great insurance policy. Especially if you try and play for it as well. Like if you kind of put yourself in a position where you're going to die to trigger this to get a full heal in red zone, where you're limited on items and typically don't bring healing items, very, very useful. He also randomly changes a type of key sphere other than int to rainbow. He gets key +6 and attack and defense +180, and combined with the rainbow orb changing, going to help him get his 18 key off consistently, or a bit more consistently. He has a high chance to launch an additional super attack, so he keeps the 50% chance for launching an additional super. He reduces damage received by 3% per key sphere obtained, which of course the orb change is going to help him have more damage reduction. It's not a lot, but once he super attacks, you know, and things like that, it adds up. It's going to be a little bit extra defensive coverage from him. It's going to be a little bit extra padding, but it's not a whole lot. He also gains attack and defense +30% when attacking if collecting 4 or more key spheres, and that's where, of course, again, the orb changing is going to come in and be handy. He also gains attack and defense +40% when attacking if collecting 6 or more key spheres, and then also gains an attack and defense +50% when attacking if collecting 8 or more key spheres. So the potential is there for Cell. It's pretty good. It's very solid. Especially when you think about how like the future androids operate, the Dokkan Fest androids, if you get them all the key spheres they need. Not to mention a lot of android units, they typically have built-in support. You know, you look at the free-to-play LR androids, 19 and Giro, even the EZA Trenchcoat and Hellfighter 17s have built-in support. They have a bag full of support, so they're always going to have a little bit extra with each other. He also gains an additional attack +100% and a high chance upon a critical hit during the turn when the active skill is launched, or when key is 24. And on 12 key, he greatly raises defense for 1 turn and causes mega colossal damage and massively lowers defense. And then on 18 key, greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, causes mega colossal damage and greatly lowers attack and defense. So again, this is where getting as many orbs as possible to get the extra attack and defense. More importantly, in harder content, the defense is going to really matter. You launch an 18 key with him, you greatly raise attack and defense. You hit the additional in his passive, you raise his defense by 50% again. And then not only that, you know, depending on how many orbs, again, I know it's not a lot, the extra 3% per key sphere obtained gives them a little bit of extra padding. Like, it's not a lot, but again, combined with all the defensive buffs and raises, and depending on how many attack and defense or how many orbs you pick up to get extra attack and defense, Cell could be in a pretty good spot in terms of being able to tank some of the harder content in the game. And again, on top of the fact, if you may have dupes, you can launch another additional super and greatly raises attack and defense by 50% for a 3rd time. So Cell's looking pretty good as well, and is a very good defensive unit if you can get enough key spheres, but mainly should be quite defensively solid once he transforms, just by super attacking, you know, 2-3 potential times and getting a decent amount of orbs on average, you know, 4 to 6 probably, getting the extra attack and defense and a little bit of extra damage reduction. So in my opinion, these EZAs are looking pretty good. Gohan looks really good, but unless they alter his transformation conditions, you're never going to really get to see his full potential when you get him into SSJ 2, where he's been stacking the entire time, and then launch all those additional supers. So fingers crossed, Dokkan, if you are listening, I mean, you're probably not listening to me, but hopefully you pull your finger out and you alter and finally change his active skill transformation conditions, so we actually get to use and see SSJ 2 Gohan, especially now he's going to get EZA'd. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you think they're going to alter transformation conditions? Because I sure hope so. But I'll see you in the next video, guys, and peace.